This is Johnny with TigerBomb MMA, and today I'm going over UFC Vegas 86, Hermansson versus Pyfer, giving you my thoughts and predictions on the entire card. Not gonna lie, I'm not too excited about this card. Ihor Petieria is on it, so that should tell you everything you need to know about the quality of competition on this card. Not to say that there's not any, good level fighters here. They're gonna be fun fights going on, but Petieria is the featured bout. I know it's short notice. He's making I'm assuming it's middleweight debut. I'm talking too much about Petieria. Before I break down this card, I wanted to give you my thoughts on the previous card, which was the Dolidze versus Imavov card. I am a little beat up by this card. Like I could not get a winning ticket after the first initial fight to save my life. So the first fight was Jamal Pogues. Jamal Pogues, I had put money on him. I felt confident on him. I put a unit on him. He did what I expected him to do. Peterson didn't really do much. Pogues, Pogues nearly hoagied his way out of that one, if you know what I mean. Like he nearly blew it for me, but he proved to be the better fighter. Peterson, I think he can get wins in the UFC, but if you can't beat Jamal Pogues when Jamal Pogues is really there for you to get beat, not to say I'm not happy about it. Like I got my money, but it's like, come on, dude. Like this guy's gonna get hurt in the UFC. Markel Medeiros defeats Landon Quinones. Now, I thought Landon might have won it. It was a really close fight. I thought it might have potentially been a split. I was on Quinones, not betting wise. I just thought he could win that fight. He looked good. I think he honestly deserved the win. Markel, he had some good moments. He had some good moments of like being offensive and throwing, but nothing too significant. I'm not upset about the decision. I know Quinones had some moments there where he kind of like let off the gas a bit. The first round was great. I thought he was going to hurt him a bit more. There were moments there where Medeiros got hit and he reacted a lot better than I thought he was going to react. So that was interesting. Good fight though. Luana Carolina defeats Jolija Sorilenko. I was bummed out about that. I thought Jolija was going to submit her. There was a couple times there where she had her in tight submissions, but she couldn't complete it. She looked bad. I don't want to completely shit on Stolienko, even though I am going to. I do it privately to friends, but I'm not going to shit on her here, mainly because Luana did miss weight. She looked good, Luana did, but then again, she didn't make weight. Um, Terrible fight, though. Absolutely terrible fight. Jalija cannot get a takedown to save her life, and that was really absolutely bumming me out. I had a bet on her. I had her first round submission. I had her submission. And then I had her in a parlay. It was just like, ugh. I should have known at that point. I'm like, I'm fucked. I really thought the weight miss from Carolina was going to be in the benefit of Stolienko. It absolutely was not. Jung Young Lee defeats Blake Builder. Another bet that I lost. Builder didn't look good. He looked really bad. I thought he was going to wrestle. He didn't. And not to say he didn't try. He unsuccessfully wrestled. He unsuccessfully struck. He looked like a deer in the headlights when Jung Young Lee attacked the body. I was like, all right, cool. I'm wrong about this guy. He's not a fraud because he definitely worked on his takedown defense. His striking looked good. His cardio looked good. His grappling looked good. Blake Builder, though, I don't know how old is Blake. He's 33. Yeah, he's 33. I don't know, man. Like, if you can't get one successful takedown on a guy who's really not known to be like the greatest grappler, even though I think he's a black belt, I was like, I don't know what you're wasting your time. Like, Jali was able to get a takedown on him. And Blake being a big ball of muscle, I was really disappointed in him. But yeah, props to the Korean Tiger. Is it the Korean Tiger? Yep. One for the Tigers. Themba Garimbo defeats Pete Rodrigues. I bet Pete by knockout. Never would I guessed that it would have been Themba getting the knockout. Pete's no longer invited to the carne asada. He's no longer able to, speak Spanish, so he's out of the group. So Themba, though, I guess he manifested the first round knockout. Good for him. I thought Themba was going to win, but just relentlessly grapple fucking. Pete was able to stuff takedowns early, and props to Themba. He's like, well, I can't take you down. I guess I'd rather knock you out. So good on him. Pete needs to go down to 155 immediately because at that point, he's going to be the one knocking dudes out. Charles Johnson defeats Azamat Maxim. I had a 1.5 unit bet on Maxim. I was so confident in Maxim. And then when he starts knocking him around in the first round, I was like, oh, sweet. Easy money. I'm telling people, like, is there any way he loses? Nope. We found the way he loses. Close decision. I'm not upset that Charles won the decision. It was the right decision, unfortunately. What upset me is that Maxim just kind of stopped fighting. He had it really in the bag. Second round was close. I would still give it to Charles, but he could have still won it. He could have done more. It was just kind of awkward. It was a very awkward decision, an awkward moment for Maxim. Like he almost blew his wad trying to submit Charles Johnson in that first round with the Anaconda or the Darce. I don't recall. The issue though is that like typical Maxim going forward when he's got like competition that's not going to easily tap? Is he going to just mentally break in there? I still think he could have won the fight. He just didn't do the appropriate things to win a fight against Charles Johnson. So it is what it is. Molly McCann defeats Sienna Belbita. I was on McCann. I didn't think she was gonna be that dominant. I knew she was better than Deanna Belbita, but damn, Molly looked really good. And I will say this, man, I don't often like get impressed by women's MMA, especially not Molly McCann. It's like at 135, she was, knocking girls out, which was fun, but at 125, I was thoroughly impressed by her entire game. Like she was thudding this girl up. She took her down easily, and then that armbar transition, like it just showed that she did improve. That she wait, it was 115. My bad. She was at 125. She went down to 115. She looks really good at 115. She thudded this girl up. That armbar transition was beautiful. I hate to say it, but Molly looks like she could potentially contend for the title, and that's not really saying much. Like I think if she gets a couple good wins, a couple good finishes, they might just put her up in there because she's got that whole like Patty the Batty connection on there. Velveeta, she's never improved, and that's just the reality. Charles Radke defeats Gilbert Urbina. Pissed me off about Urbina. Not that because I picked him to win. I knew Charles could knock him out with that, what, killer, the left hook. Charles walked him down. He looked unafraid. And to me, Gilbert looked like someone was asking him a question that he had any idea how to answer. Like for example, someone's asking him like, "Do you speak English?" He's like, "Eh." He looked so lost in that fight, which I worried about. I thought, man, if he comes in here and he fights, he can make it a really entertaining fight, like a good close fight. He was minus 200 by the closing line, and I was like, nah, this guy's not worth it that much. Like I should have gone and picked Radke, like live bet him, but I didn't think about that. I didn't want any part of this. Charles walked him down, and then when he clipped him with that left hook, I don't know how he does it, man. Like Charles is not this guy that like I would look at and think he's uber powerful, polished striker, but that left hook of his is fantastic. Gilbert, though, I don't think he's longed for the UFC. The way he looked like frozen in that fight, like at 170, I don't know if he should stay at 170. I think he needs to adjust his life. I don't know if he needs to go back up to 185, but at 170, at least in this fight, he looked really bad. Moving on, Kizriev, eye pokes Muradov. We were having fun in the Discord talking about the reason Muradov got eye poked like that is because of the sins in the past for showing his asshole to the world. Kizriev, I picked Kizriev to win. I really think he was going to beat his ass. It is what it is. Natalia Silva defeats Vivian Araujo. I would have given a 30-27 for Silva because Vivian just held her. And I don't like saying that. There's often times where guys do clinch up and they kind of grab onto them and they do stuff. But Vivi legit just held on for dear life. And then when Silva like disengaged in that clinch, he let go beautifully. Silva passed the test. I think she passed the test with flying colors. Like we've got a very athletic, although 38-year-old woman that can not only strike, hit, and grapple, and she passed the test. Looked amazing. Like didn't even get a scratch on her birthday. Good for her. She's speaking English to me too. I was like, God damn, both these curly haired girls. But yeah, Silva deserves my adoration. She's gonna get it. Randy knocks out Muslim. I kept saying if Randy fights like he intends to fight, like he should fight, his potential, knock him out easily. He didn't look good early, but he was setting up that right hand. When he found it, he let it go, knocks Muslim the fuck out. It was a very impressive performance. Moicano defeats Drew Dober. I kept hearing rumblings. I'm like, oh my God, Drew Dober is very good at this. He's really good at that. Obviously, he can knock dudes out. But people forget like Moicano can grapple. I don't care if Drew Dober had a bit of success. And by that, I mean not getting finished by Islam Makhachev up until the third round. It doesn't mean Moicano can't take him down. Moicano's got good wrestling. There were moments there where Moicano really couldn't do much on the mat, which props to Dober. He has improved in his sub defense and all, but his takedown defense and his get up game, it's so. There were moments there where he had Moicano hurt, and then at the end, he made a big ass mistake. Moicano got on top of him, got the 29-28, and then he cut that beautiful promo how he wants to kill bad guys. I was laughing my ass off. Good for money, Moicano. Nasruddin Imavov, the whole card, again, I got 7 out of 12 right. The 13th fight, the Kizriev, doesn't count. I was at least right that Roman Dolidze is a fucking fraud. Now, he's a tough fraud, but he got his ass absolutely beat. And I will say this, I joke a lot about like the whole, he's a cuckmeister. He took a man's wife. So what I'm about to say next, don't take that into consideration. When he had his hand down and then Nasruddin kicked him in the face, I was like, he deserved that. Like, he really did. You don't play that stupid game, especially in that position. It was just like, they're gonna eventually get rid of that rule where like he had his fingertips down. I don't like the fingertip rule. Like, even with what's his name, Allen and not Imavov, Allen and Evloev. Like, that was it was what it was. Like, I benefited from it because I bet Evloev, but still, it's like, don't play that silly ass game. Just take a knee. Don't play the fingertip rule. So I thought he deserved it, but yeah, he got his ass handed to him. There were some moments there where he looked like he might come back. I actually bet the draw. So when the draw was like called, I was like, oh shit, give me one more, because there was a point deduction and all this shit. So I was pretty excited that cashed that like plus 8,000 ticket, but no, it wasn't in the cards for me. But yeah, Imavov, out of the two, these are not 5 round fighters. I'll give it to Roman. He really toughed it out, didn't get finished, but Imavov, like, he's the much better of the two fighters, the cleaner striker, but they both have terrible gas tanks. It was a very sloppy middleweight gas fest, so it was what it was. But going back to the Pyfer card, the Hermansson and Pyfer, I'm gonna break through this really quickly, just mainly because I'm not really feeling this card. Like, I did my research on it, and it is what it is, man. So first fight of the night, it is Daniel Marcos versus Aoriqileng. Marcos minus 210 versus the Mongolian Murderer plus 165. Now, I have my issues with Murderer. I faded him twice in the last 2 fights, right? Johnny Munoz was not able to capitalize, and Zahabi was. He knocked him the fuck out. Aoriqileng, to me, he's very, very athletic. He's training at Neuro Force One, good striker, but I just don't think he's got it in him to beat a guy like Marcos. And I'm going to go with Marcos. I'm going to go with him by a decision. The reason for it, not because he's undefeated. He does a lot of things I like. He has very good defense, very good kickboxing, good takedown defense. He's very athletic, good movement. He fought a much harder fight in Davy Grant. Although, if I'm going to be honest with you, man, I really did think he lost that fight. I watched it again, and I'm like, okay, he lost the first round. He wins the second round. So he wins the fight. So he must have won the third. I thought he lost the third. Now, the first round, I wasn't really paying too much attention. It was a little boring. He didn't really pour it on until like the later half of the fight. That's my biggest issue with Daniel Marcos. I think a very smart fighter can outpoint him because he's kind of a late starter. He just doesn't get going right away. But when he does, I love what he does. Kicks to the body, rips to the body very well, clinches well. He can even get takedowns if he needs them. I just think he's going to be the better fighter here. Also, he was quoted as saying that he doesn't lose to guys who jack off other guys. So he's not going to lose to a guy who lost to Jeff Molina. So I'm going to go with the Marcos to win this fight by a decision. I do think that later in the fight, Aoriqileng, if he slows down, which he will, I think Marcos could just start battering the body and maybe finish him. But I will go Marcos by, I'm going to say, decision. Depending on how aggressive Marcos wants to come out, he might get that finish late. He needs to be careful, though. I do like his defense. So like he stays very defensively irresponsible. So Aoriqileng, he tends to get there's opportunities to counter him. So I do think Marcos has the upside in the finish value. So moving on, we've got Hyder Amil versus Fernie Garcia. I could have sworn I saw that Amil was the favorite, but I understand why Fernie is minus 245. That's fucking stupid. He is moving back up to featherweight. He's fought at featherweight before. Great boxing, right? Nothing else. He's a very good fighter. I like Fernie, but he's fighting a guy that I think a guy is getting underestimated in Hyder Amil. Now, I have to say, with Amil, and I'm picking Amil here, I'm picking him by a decision. The thing about Amil is that I understand why he's nearly a 2-1 underdog. He didn't look good in his last fight against fucking Emra Samraz. I saw that fight. It was a really grueling fight. And I don't know if people are looking at that and saying this guy sucks and he's got a bad cardio. I don't think that's the case. What I saw in that fight was a guy who went to a really, really tough dog fight against a guy who all he wanted to do was hold him down and avoid fighting him. And in that case, he stuffed every takedown, nearly every takedown. I'm not going to exaggerate. He stuffed a ton of the takedowns. He ripped them off of him. He couldn't get him off of him in certain occasions. But when he fought to win the fight. There were moments where he was exhausted and he landed the shots. He got in better position. It was a hard fight. It wasn't a fun fight to watch. It was a really tough fight for him. He has had fights like that in the past. Like he fought Devontae Sewell, whipping Devontae Sewell's ass. But the thing about Hyder Amil is that I think he's very good. I think because he trains with Gilbert Melendez, that's his mentor. This is Melendez's protege in Hyder Amil. He's a solid dude. He goes a little too hard sometimes. Like it's almost like maybe y'all know this, but when you're like hitting the punching bag or doing something, you hold your breath because you just want to like blah, 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 instead of calming down. I think he fights like that often. Like he just wants to go out there and fight. That can get him in trouble. He's very hittable. He's a solid guy. He's really tough. He's a tough bastard. But Fernie, I know he's got good boxing. I don't trust Fernie worth a shit. I think if this becomes a dogfight, Hyder's going to win that dogfight. Like he just can't get clipped hard. Fernie has beautiful boxing, but he can get taken down. He can get controlled. He's shown good defense on the ground. Fernie has evolved, but he's evolved, at least from what I've seen, in the worst ways. He's evolved in the sense that, like, when he gets taken down, maybe he can stuff a few takedowns, but he can't really get back up. And also, he's learned to not get finished on the ground, which is great. But what are you going to do afterwards? I think Hyder can get it to the ground. I think he can get, top control. He's a bigger dude. He also hits really hard. It's going to be a really fun fight. I think I like this fight a lot. It's a tough fight for Hyder, but in many ways, it's an easier fight for him. I forgot who he was going to fight. Let me check on that. Because it's a short notice replacement for Melsick. I think he could have probably beat the shit out of Melsick as well. It would have been rough for him because, again, he's there to get hit. He's not a perfect defensive character. He's got good everything. It's just he's not uber impressive, but I like what I've seen from him when he digs deep. I think he can pull out a win. I think he can get a decision. Fernie's never been finished. It's going to be a tough fight, but I think Hyder, at the end of the day, he can get the takedown. He can get the top control, do a bit of damage to win and sway the favor of the judges. Realistically, to me, if Fernie fights the way he normally fights, it's a very, very easy fight for Hyder, where he can just spam takedowns, get him to the ground. He's a strong dude. And Fernie, again, he doesn't do much other than box, which always bums me out. But his boxing's very good. And if he can catch Hyder with something really clean and hard, Hyder's been hit pretty hard in the past. He's got a good chin. He's never been finished himself. But I like his heart. There was a moment in his last fight before the Contender Series against Chase Gibson. Chase had him dead to rights with a rear naked choke, and he fought out of it. So I like his heart. I think he's got more heart in the sense of like execution than Fernie. Fernie's got heart in the sense that he will refuse to get, submitted or pounded out, but really doesn't have it in him to get back up. I'm going to go with Hyder Amil to win this one by decision. I might actually bet him. I know the possibility of him getting finished here. I know the possibility of him getting beat the fuck up if Fernie just avoids everything and just is really responsible. But I'm willing to take that shot with a guy that I really think is a really solid dog, and he happens to be the dog here as well. Moving on, we've got Zach Pauga versus Bogdan Goskov. I hate this fight. I hate it so much because I don't like Pauga, I do think he's the better, more technical fighter, but he's older. He's been clipped. I think he can definitely win this fight. But I'm gonna go with Bogdan. The main reason I'm going with Bogdan is that I think he sucks. I think he's a under 1.5 dream if you're betting this guy because he can get finishes and or to me he can get finished. To his, I have to admit, in his fight with No Time Uzdemir, I was impressed by his chin. I was like, oh shit, like he can take shots. He, did get finished there. He got submitted, which is crazy that he got submitted by a guy who normally knocks dudes out. I'm gonna go with Goskov. No real reason other than the fact that I do think that if push comes to shove, Goskov might maybe eat a shot, and Pauga's not going to be able to eat the shot. And at that point, if I just realized Pauga's nickname is the High Chief, he can go fuck himself. That's Peter Maivia. But I'll go with Goskov to win it by knockout. I think if Goskov catches him with something, and funny enough, Goskov caught No Time with something kind of clean, but it just didn't happen to hurt him. I know Goskov in the past, I said he's kind of a fraud, man. He should not be in the UFC. He fought a lot of no names. The only name he actually fought, a guy with a winning record, beat the shit out of him, knocked him out cold. He just happens to be the dog here. And Pauga, to me, he's just I just think that he's got talent, but that talent doesn't matter when you're like looking up at the light. So I'm gonna go with Goskov. No real logic other than the fact that I think he can get the knockout. Realistically, for me, I'd probably take the under here. Next about Jeremiah Wells versus Max Griffin. Now, I already have a bet with Jeremiah Wells in here. I think he can actually get the job done via submission later. And the reason is I don't like his striking, really, Jeremiah. He gets very wild, but he's very powerful. So he has a really good chance to, I don't want to say 50-50. It's probably higher than that he can get a knockout just by being buck wild, spamming overhands. But the reason he mostly does that is to bulldoze you, get you to the ground. Max Griffin, widely bet, right? You got to respect Max. He's got a shitty record of 10-9 or 19-10, but he's beaten some good competition. He's a solid guy. He's developed himself into like a very solid mixed martial artist in the past, mostly a striker. Could get taken down often. Jeremiah Wells will take him down, whether he's going to just decision him, drop hammers on him, or find a submission. If he catches him in a submission, that's it for him. Jeremiah Wells in his last fight essentially dominated Harris, but he got caught. He got caught in a submission that not only did he think he was safe in, I thought he was safe in, but Harris with that long ass reach, his bread and butter, was it the Anaconda, I believe? Yeah, that's his bread and butter choke. He just succumbed to it. Like he did things well to defend. It's just he got. He was winning that fight. I think he's going to do the same here. I think he's going to push a pace. Surprisingly, Wells, being that muscular, does not get tired. Wells loses, he gets clipped. If Max just times it perfectly, he can crack Jeremiah Wells. He's been hurt before by, although it was, Matthew Semelsberger, he hits fucking hard. Still, he got wobbled all over the place. But I do think that Wells will rinse and repeat with those takedowns. He's a powerful man, very dangerous on the mat, dangerous with the punches, right? I like the upside on Jeremiah Wells. I got him in a parlay with two other folk. But yeah, I'll go with Wells submission third round. Next bout, we've got Devin Clark versus Marcin Prachnio. Let me check my notes as to what I wrote about these guys. Clark, wrestler with power. If he backs up, he's going to lose. Prachnio, kickboxer, can't stop takedowns, but if he can, he'll win. That's really it. Minus 190 for Devin Clark, Prachnio plus 165. The upside about Clark is that he is a very explosive guy. He's got power in the punches, and obviously he's got the wrestling. Prachnio, solid kickboxer. He can stuff takedowns. I'm just being hyperbolic here. He does know how to stuff takedowns, but like if he cannot, I do think that this is a very easy fight for Devin Clark. Devin's very chinny. Devin's susceptible to getting hurt. Devin's susceptible to getting choked out. Devin is Devin Clark, really. He's Brown Bear. But I think this is a really easy fight for him to win. But it's also a very easy fight for him to lose. I'm not taking any action on it. I'm going to take Devin Clark to win this one by a decision. Like, show me the Devin Clark that beat Dawoon Jong, and he can beat Marcin Prachnio. Next bout, Loma Lookboonme versus Bruna Brazil. This one to me is a little harder. I really went back and forth because the odds to me aren't justified. Like Bruna being minus, I'm sorry, Bruna being plus 200. As much as I don't like Bruna, her nickname, the special one, she looks a little special here, but she is good at what she does. She's a big girl. She's 5'6". She's got a good reach, good legs. Taekwondo, I believe, kickboxing, whatever, champion, kind of chinny. I don't think she's the better fighter than Loma. Loma has got the Muay Thai background. Loma's very good in the clinch. Her developing jujitsu is getting a lot better. You got her last submission last time against Elise Reed, her first submission of her career, and you saw how excited she was when she got it. Like, oh my god, like she's been wanting it. So you just shows me how much she's been training in that field of like getting takedowns, and she's good at getting takedowns in the clinch. It's just at minus 245 in this market, in this economy, it ain't for me, man. I do think realistically, if Loma were slightly bigger, she would run right through Bruna, but there's a good chance that Bruna can weasel her way into a victory here. I don't like Bruna. I don't like her style. She's a little too patient for me. She's a little cocky with her striking. Like when she fought Denise Gomes, it almost seemed like I can't believe this bitch is in the cage with me. And then we saw what happened. She just got busted up. She got overhand righted, got dropped. She's a little chinny to me, but her last fight against what's her fucking name? Shanna Bannon Killaby, I believe, or Shayna B, whatever her stupid nickname is. She looked a little bit more composed. She looked smarter. She landed a really nice sweeping takedown on her. But to me, that was a very tailor-made fight for Bruna. It was a girl who had a similar style in the kickboxing who really couldn't take her down. She gave her all the space that is Bruna. Bannon? Shayna Bannon. She gave her the space that Bruna wants to operate in. Made it an easy fight for Bruna. Like later in the rounds, I thought that Bannon was having more success. There was a possibility that she could have like swayed the judges because like in the first early rounds, like she kept everything pretty, but like as she got a little bit more tired, you can see that Bruna was like diminishing with her distance game. Oh man, I cannot trust Bruna. I don't think I want to bet Bruna, even though she's a big dog here, and I think she's got a chance to win. I'm thinking Lookboonme, much better fighter. She's going to attack the low kick. Bruna's pretty high, or not high, but like heavy in the lead leg. So I think it's there to get kicked. On top of that, if it does hit the mat, I think Loma's just much better on the mat. The issue I have though is that Loma's so fucking small. She's 5'1" compared to the 5'6" that if Bruna were to take her down, she can just lay on her, not have to do anything. Like just the most rudimentary jujitsu from top can really fuck up. It's like me laying on top of a kitten. Like the kitten can claw me, but I'm bigger. What are you going to do? That's my biggest worry here. I'm going to go with Loma by a decision. I am hoping that Loma knocks her out or submits her, but I'm very unsure about this fight. Like to me, it is kind of a dog or pass, but it's women's MMA with a prospect here in Bruna that to me hasn't lived up to the nickname of being special at all. So I will skip this one, but I'm going with Loma by decision. Next bout, pretty easy fight to pick here. I'm going with Oki here, the Zulu Warrior over the Bosnian Bummer. I'm going knockout in the second round. So it's not as simple as saying like, oh, he got a nasty knockout of the Contender Series. He's going to knock out Damir Hadzovic. Yes, that is true, but Hadzovic is 37 years old and he's not much of a threat anywhere other than landing a bomb on him. I went back, watched the tape on Oki. I like what I see. He seems very composed. He can get takedowns if need be. He's very responsible with his striking, right? He's got very good striking, but when he's got you hurt, he doesn't rush things like an idiot. He doesn't swing like an Ngannou. This guy's very technical and very precise. He attacks the body very well, especially when he's got you against the cage. Let me remember, because I saw a bunch of tape on a bunch of dudes today. I want to make sure he's the one that, let's see. No, I don't remember if he specifically moves forward and pressures, but when he does, I like what I see. Like, dude's solid. He's solid. And I'm only viewing him in the sense of what his skill set matches up to Damir Hadzovic, and it matches up very well. Damir can bang. He's got good striking. He's got good power. Not much of anything else. To me, Ogi can stand and bang with Hadzovic. I think he's going to be more of the dynamic striker. He's going to be the more powerful guy, the quicker guy, the younger man. And if, say, out of nowhere, Damir happens to land something that wobbles Oki, I think Oki's powerful enough to get takedowns. I know Damir will try to mix things up, but I don't think he's that special anywhere other than just having bombs in his hands. So I'm going to go with Oki, second round knockout. Second round because he's going to be patient. He could definitely get it in the first, but if Oki respects him like I know he will, like going back, I watched tape, he doesn't get ahead of himself. He respects his opponents because he's like, I'm not going to get knocked out by doing something stupid. In the Contender Series, did that very well. Like he hurt his opponent. He didn't like bum rush him and try to get him out of there with head strikes. He hit him to the body. Does that very well. He can find that liver. That's what I really like about Oki. Got him as a second leg in that parlay. I got Oki knockout. Next bout, Trevin Giles versus Carlos Prates. Prates is minus 225. Come back on Giles is plus 185. I am going with Prates by knockout, and it wasn't a simple decision for me. I had to watch my tape on the guy because he's a fantastic striker. Muay Thai up the ass, this guy. He trains with the Fighting Nerds. He's a solid dude. I just don't know how good his grappling defense is going to be against Trevin Giles because Trevin, I know he's got good boxing, he's got good hands. Dude is chinny as fuck though. He has had some of the most devastating knockouts in the UFC for me, and not in like the visual sense, like oh my god, he's stiffened up, unlike a certain somebody up in the card that we'll talk about later. But I've seen this guy, his head getting bounced around like a ping pong ball, and it troubles me, right? Like he gets hit and he just gets wobbled. Like he got wobbled by Preston Parsons, who I admire his striking to set up his like kind of shitty takedowns, but damn, Trevin Giles getting hurt nearly every single time does scare me. I don't think he's going to be able to outstrike Carlos. That actually would be not a bad game plan. Like get up in the inside, negate that 4 inch reach advantage and try to blast him. But to me, it's like you got to take him down, try to make him work. But even then, I do think that, say, if he does take him down early, he can still survive Carlos, that is, because he has some nasty shit off of the ground in the sense of like sweeps. Like in the Contender Series, he had a really nice sweep to get back up against Mitch Ramirez. And I was like, damn, because Mitch took him down easy. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like Trevin's going to be able to like work his fucking grappling here. Because I will admit that Trevin Giles' wrestling and grappling have tremendously improved over the years. I just don't think he's going to survive. So even if he does get him down, I think Trevin always finds a way to lose or to get hurt. And I think Prates in the second round, after maybe getting controlled a bit, not dominated on the mat, but controlled, is going to start on the feet in the second round and just start really wrecking Trevin Giles. I think he finds something. Prates has nasty knees up the middle, nasty knees in the clinch, nasty elbows. The dude is very good. I don't know what his ceiling is, but I know Trevin Giles' ceiling. And I know that he will also be looking at the ceiling at the end of this fight. So I'm going with Prates. I keep calling him a fucking pirate. Prates. The nightmare. Yeah, by knockout, second round. I didn't do much research on this one, all right, because it's been scheduled multiple times. And I will still go with Armen Petrosyan. Now, the odds aren't as great as they were before. I think Petrosyan was dog money at one point, especially when they first got matched. But I still got to go with Petrosyan here. Like I like Rodolfo Viera. If it hits the mat, it might be game over for Armen, depending on what he does. Like not, damn, like Rodolfo Vieira, nasty submission artist, absolutely nasty. One of my favorite guys to watch, right? As like a project almost. Like let's see how he progresses. His striking has also improved. Really nice jab against Dustin Stoltzfus. I was like, damn, he's getting better. He's becoming a more of a complete mixed martial artist. Because when he came out of the scene, took dudes down, submitted the shit out of them. But competition got tougher. Guys can stuff takedowns. Arman, that's all he's been doing for years is learning how to stuff takedowns and getting back up. And if he lets his hands go here against Rodolfo Viera, who, if he can't get that takedown, he might be an absolute fucking shit. So I'm going to go with Petrosyan knockout in the first round. I'm not betting this one. It's really a 50-50 matchup because it is a striker versus grappler, but it's not quite that simple. It's a grappler with the maxed out stats in getting submissions and shit, but his striking is getting a little bit better, not to the level of obviously Petrosyan, but Petrosyan, I would say maxed out stats with the kickboxing, but his, ability to negate the takedowns and avoid the submissions is getting better. So it's like we'll see which one is the true, you know, superior, the grappler and or the striker. In this case, I'm going to go with the striker because Rodolfo got hurt by Cody Brundage, and similar to the issue with Aoriqileng, Petrosyan said, "I ain't losing to no faggot who got hurt by Cody Brundage." So I'm going to go with Petrosyan here to win this one by a first round knockout. Next bout, we've got Michael Johnson versus Darius Flowers taking place at lightweight, which is crazy because Darius has fought all the way up at like middleweight at one point. I'm curious to see if he's going to make the weight, but we've got Michael Johnson minus 125 come back on Flowers plus 105. I'm going to go with Flowers here to get a knockout. Not because, like, oh my God, he got knocked out viciously last time out. No, man, I like Darius Flowers. I think he's got potential. He's still 29 years old. My issue with him, though, is that there's a lot of questions behind him. Like, he can be a little stupid sometimes, but like the dude lets his hands go, man. It's very impressive. He's very dynamic. He can mix things up with takedowns himself. I think he's a solid, not prospect, right? He's not like 23 or 24, and we're going to see him build. I like what he brings to the table. He's got boxing experience. If he makes the weight at 155, I think he's got the experience to like get takedowns on Michael Johnson. He's been out grappled before, and now he's going to fight a guy who's fought big dudes. I'd worry about the speed advantage for Darius. I do think that even though, like, I think Michael Johnson's got beautiful speed, super fast hands, even at 37 years old, that maybe Darius looks fast at like welterweight and middleweight because he just looks faster as a middleweight and or welterweight. But at 155, he might look a little average here. Nothing that Michael hasn't seen before. I still think that Flowers is the upside. I don't think Flowers has been knocked out. He's been submitted before many times, but I don't think he's ever been knocked out. Let me take a look. And boxing, but nothing in MMA. Well, I guess Bobby Voelker knocked him out. Shout out to Bobby Voelker. He took a nasty head kick from, why am I blanking out on his name? Robbie Lawler at one point. Really like sacrificial lamb. But yeah, Darius, not the greatest record, but I think he's going to stunt on Michael Johnson here. I'm going to take him by knockout in the second round. And again, it's not because Michael's like, oh, he got knocked out once viciously. It plays to it, right? He's been knocked out viciously many a times. But to me, Michael is the kind of guy that like uber talented, could beat anyone in the world. Might even beat Darius Flowers, to be honest with you, man. Because Michael's that guy. He'll fuck up the apple cart or whatever you call it. Just that I don't think he can take it anymore, man. He's got a lot of miles on him. He's gotten finished many times. He's gotten out grappled many times. I think Darius has all the upside. He's can match him in speed, I'm assuming, and also in the boxing, and also try to grapple him. He didn't like those body shots he ate from Jake Matthews, so that might come into play here, especially cutting that weight. And that's why I'm so curious to see, because I already did bet Darius Flowers in a parlay with those three other gentlemen of color, but I am worried that if he starts eating body shots, it might be like, ooh, you know what I mean? He might take a good, clean, straight right hand by Michael Johnson that makes him take a knee. That's my biggest worry. So if he comes in looking good, I haven't seen any pictures of him, then I'll feel more confident. But because he was a dog, I think I got him at plus 115. Younger man here. I'll take my chances. So Flowers knockout second round. Gregory Rodrigues versus Brad Tavares. Now, I didn't pay too much attention to this fight, but I'm like, what is the odds? What are the odds? And how is Brad going to look? Like, Brad can take a punch ish, good takedown defense. Gregory Rodrigues, we know he's got that off button. It's a very mystical chin of Gregory Rodrigues. He can take a shot super flush. He can take a knee, nearly decapitating his head, basically scalping the man. by the African the African smoke monster in Chidi and Chikawani. But he takes one shot from God damn it, Bruno Ferreira. Yeah, Bruno Ferreira, the Hulk, goes straight down, bounces his head off. So it's such a weird chin of Gregory Rodrigues, but the guy can crack. Jiu-jitsu's marvelous. Minus 240 though. I think he's gonna win, but I am worried that like maybe Brad with his pillow fist might touch him once, and that's my biggest concern. Like really, he can take a powerful punch, but like a little tap from Brad Tavares might like send him into like the stratosphere. I doubt that's what's gonna happen. I do think that because Brad Tavares has a good takedown defense, Gregory is going to have to strike with him a little bit more. But the moment Gregory gets his back or gets him down, dude's massive, 6'3", huge man. I think it's going to be a wrap for Tavares. Tavares has been knocked out on multiple occasions. He's been knocked out by lesser competition. I think Gregory's fantastic. He's getting better. He fell in love with the striking a little bit, but if he does mix things up, we know that Gregory has the heart. And I don't know fully if Brad has the kind of power to shut off the lights of Gregory. So if this becomes a striking battle, Gregory's more than capable of keeping it on the feet and winning exchanges while trying to mix in takedowns. Good hard low kicks. Brad, to me, what really sealed it for me is that he couldn't finish a one-legged Chris Weidman. What is he going to do to finish a Barack Obama impersonator? I'm going to go with Gregory Rodrigues to win this one by a TKO second round. Next bout. Dear God, this fucking fight. So I don't know much about Robert Bryczek. One second. Oh, excuse me. I don't know much about Robert Bryczek, but I watched tape on him. I don't want to blindly pick against Petieria here, who I've said on record he's the worst light heavyweight in the UFC. Does not belong. But now he's dropping the middleweight on short notice. Curious to see how he makes the weight. And I'm not positive if this will take place in middleweight. It says middleweight on Tapology, but I've just heard some stuff that it might be a 205. I'm not sure. Because why would he take the fight on short notice? He was supposed to fight Bryczek. That is, he was going to fight for his debut. Well, originally Jacob Malkoun and Duraev, but Duraev pulled out, probably out there beating up a cat, that piece of shit. So, Bryczek, 17-5. I did my damnedest to tape him, but although very enjoyable, very, very difficult to gauge this guy for what his skill set is. He says he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's been fighting in Octagon and like all these other promotions, knocking dudes the fuck out quite easily. But the competition's not been like, oh my God, I'm super impressed. He has lost before. He's been knocked out before. He's been dominated, but the dude used to fight at welterweight, which blew my mind. I'm like, this fucking unit of a man was at welterweight? I'm like, how? Dude can crack. I think my main concern with him, if I wrote down my notes here, where are we at? Yeah, he's trained at Extreme Couture. He sparred with like I was gonna call him Sean Strickland. So you can kind of see that he has a decent striking style. Like his hands are in the right position where they need to be, high and tight. He throws hard. But for whatever reason, like even though he has the proper technique, I feel as if he's still very much there to get hit. Like he's kind of hittable, which is just strange to me. Like it's nothing terrible, right? Like it's like there's fuck, I don't want to say that word. There's things in his armor, if you know what I'm saying. There's little Vietnamese people in his armor. Hands are up. They're right there. You can find them. Like the Death Star, right? There's a little vet. You can. It's just like he keeps his shit high and tight, but not necessarily too tight where like maybe something can slip in. That's my biggest worry about him. Like he's been hit before, he's been knocked out before, but again, that was at welterweight, I believe. I would consider him undefeated at middleweight because at middleweight, like he had a fight when he moved back up against a uh, Polka, and I thought he beat him, and he lost that by unanimous decision. But still, like I think he's solid. I don't quite know if he's like UFC ready because I could not find anything of him like really grappling, like getting dudes down and holding them down because he might have to do that here against Petieria. The thing about Petieria, as much as I don't like the guy and his stupid little dueling bullshit, dude has significantly improved since his last time out, right? In his fight with Belado, I was like, I know I'm going to see improvements from Petieria, but he's still Ihor Petieria. Looked really good. I'm not going to shit on him at that point. Like, he looked really good, super fast, pinpoint accurate with the strikes. It's like they were finally training him correctly. They're like, hey, I'm sorry we were fucking with you, dude. Like, let's show you how to actually throw a jab, like how to fade and like dart right in and throw good punches straight down the middle. He looked fantastic. Nearly put out Belado, but the thing is that Petieria gasses out. He only has limited energy for him to actually win a fight. I think he has a good chance here to knock out Bryczek, but will he be so depleted that the first shot that Bryczek lands on him, even if he's cupping his head and shit, and he just smacks himself with his glove, will that knock him out? I am worried about that because Petieria has not had the greatest time in the UFC. His only win is against Mauricio Shogun Hua in his retirement fight, where he was getting his ass beat that whole fight. He just happened to land a good punch. Man, there's no odds on it yet. I don't want to blindly fade Petieria because I've seen the improvements, and I think maybe at middleweight it might serve him well. He'll be the bigger guy, maybe not the faster guy. He can maybe just will himself to a victory here against Bryczek because I don't know how to feel about Robert. Like, I know his potential. I know he can knock dudes out, but like to me, it wasn't anything too special. Like it's he's a massive dude, right? Like he's more than capable of walking this motherfucker down and knocking him out. I just don't feel comfortable with it. Once I get the line out, I might even take a look at Petieria. Like this makes me a little sick to my stomach saying that, but cannot go against instincts here. I got to go with Bryczek here. I do think that if he is smart, mixes in takedowns, uses his black belt in jiu-jitsu, he can have a easy night at the office here against a very depleted, short notice Petieria. So I'm going to go with Bryczek by knockout. I'm going to say in the first round. Next bout, we've got Dan Ige and Andre Fili for the co-main event. I'm not going to mince words here. I'm going Dan Ige by knockout in second round. Andre Fili, like he's plus 145. Great fighter. Both these guys, great fighters, right? Ige to me is just at a higher rank in the featherweight division. To me, Ige's fought the much harder competition. I know they have a similar opponent in Bryce Mitchell, but to me, Dan Ige beat Bryce Mitchell, and Andre had good moments against Bryce. He couldn't beat him. On top of that, Dan's fought everyone, all the top competition, right? Like Josh Emmett, he fought Evloev. On top of that, I think Ige hits harder. He's got the better chin. Fili is. I'm trying to find better words than to just saying the words, but a little yee for my taste. I think he's there to get knocked out. He's been knocked out by the smaller opponent. Ige hits ridiculously hard. Ige throws nasty combinations starting to the body, like go left hook to the body, left hook to the head. Fili's been knocked out by shorter guys like in Brito. And I do think that if Fili gets hurt, it's kind of like downhill for him. Like it's happened so many times where he's doing really well, then he gets hurt. I think Dan Ige is the perfect guy. Fili can wrestle, but Dan Ige is good at stuffing takedowns. He can stuff the takedowns of the best in the division. Ultimately, as it comes to them, Andre ain't the best in the division. Andre is very, very beatable. He's more than capable of winning this fight, but he's also more than capable of getting knocked the fuck out. Not just losing, but getting knocked the fuck out. And that's what I'm going to pick. Dan Ige, round number 2 knockout. I think he is going to move forward. I think Dan Ige is still hungry. Andre Fili, to me, I'm getting the sense that, like, yeah, he can still get UFC wins, but he's not doing it because he wants to be the best. Dan's putting in the work still because he can definitely win. Like, he's just had some rough outs, right? The Bryce Mitchell fight, on damage alone, he won that fight. You see what he does to dudes, though, right? Like Josh Emmett. That was a tough fight as well. Like a lot of people thought that he beat Josh Emmett, but like judges for whatever reason kind of hate Dan Ige. I'm going Dan Ige round number 2 knockout. Main event, and if I'm being honest, man, like I am not excited for this main event because there's so many questions. It's another middleweight fight that can lead to like disaster, not in like a betting wise or you know just entertainment wise is what I'm getting at. Joe Pyfer hits really hard. Apparently, hits harder than Ngannou, according to him and his group of friends. Jack Hermansson is kind of known to not necessarily not engage, but like really make a fight not super fun to watch. If he's not dominating dudes with his grappling and his striking, it kind of gets boring because he has a style that's not truly appeasing, where he just kind of circles around, uses a lot of energy on the outside, throws kicks. Dude can grapple himself, but I don't know if he's going to want to try to grapple with Joe Pyfer early. I know he's not going to try to strike with Joe Pyfer early. Joe, I like the guy, but there's moments in there that I'm like, this guy's he's showing like big fraud red signs to me, right? And he's minus 225. Hermansson's plus 185. Now let's take a look at the list of people that Joe Pyfer beat. He fought fuck Trotman. Ozzy Diaz. Well, let's take a look. What is Ozzy Diaz's record now? I'm going with the whole. I don't think he's fought anybody. Ozzy Diaz was 7-1. He's 7-2. Hasn't fought since Joe Pyfer. Then he fought Alan Amadovsky. Fuck that guy. This guy did not belong in the UFC. He was fun. He served his purpose, right? Out in the regionals, super fun guy to watch, knocking dudes out. Really fun. Guy sucks, though. And he knocked out Gerald Mearshart. Mythical Mearshart is just an anomaly sometimes. Like, if you hit him hard enough, you'll make him quit. And he happened to just hit him hard enough. A lot of people have. Then let's see here. He beats Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Yeah, he looked great, but there was a lot of moments there. I'm like, fraud. He was eating nasty leg kicks, nasty leg kicks. He really couldn't function at a certain point. Like in the first round, he went for the takedown, couldn't do much with it. And this is again, I like Joe. I'm not trying to criticize him or talk shit about him because like I want him to win. I want him to progress. We need fresh blood in the middleweight division. But against Abdul Razak Al Hassan, there were moments there where not quite his inexperience, but like his lack of experience with high level competition was like evident. And that gap between high level and the top was Abdul Razak Al Hassan. Abdul has beaten a lot of good guys. He's a solid fighter, veteran. Dude's beaten not only men in the UFC, but he's beaten some bad cases, if you know what I'm saying. High veteran. But at a certain point in that second round, it was more evident that like, hey, Abdul's figuring this out. Like he's not gonna be able to take me down, just strike with him. And Joe, what I don't like about Joe sometimes that he gets ahead of himself with his striking. He just wants to land that punch that he looks bad. And he's kind of a very low volume kind of guy. He looks for that right hand. He has multiple strikes. He's got kicks and shit, but it's almost like he doesn't get out of first gear. When he does get out of first gear, it's like when he's dropping dudes and finishing guys. And that arm triangle that he got on Al Hassan, fantastic. Going back, I completely forgot that Al Hassan was like tapping with his fist like this, which I'm like, what a fucking idiot. And then he started shaking. I'm like, you deserve that because you didn't tap like a normal human being. I think it was Mark Smith. It's like, are you tapping or are you punching him? He got what he deserved. But like, yeah, now he's fighting Jack Hermansson. Jack is going to stifle the shit out of Joe. He's going to not engage. He's going to kick him from the outside. He's going to just play the matador. And it's up to Joe to try to take him down. Jack is crafty on the mat. I don't know how much he's got left in him. He's getting up there in age. He's 35 years old. He's been knocked out before, but Jack is a high level, high IQ, high percentage winning veteran. 23 wins, 8 losses, compared to 12 wins and 2 losses. And I think back, I'm like, am I really going to be surprised if Jack maybe even out grapples Joe Pyfer? I don't know if I can trust a guy at minus 225 against a guy who's nearly fought for the title in Jack Hermansson, who has beaten some of the best. All right, let's go and look at Jack Hermansson's record. Beaten men like the aforementioned Gerald Mearshart, where he actually submitted him. Submitted David Branch, black belt in jiu-jitsu. I hate David Branch. He sucks. But he beat Jacare Souza. He beat Kelvin Gastelum. he beat Edmund Shabazian. He beat Chris Curtis. He's beaten good guys, is what I'm trying to get at. Like mostly Jacare Souza. Fantastic jiu-jitsu specialist. Are you trying to tell me that Joe Pyfer's better than Jacare Souza? In certain cases, perhaps. This is a 5-round fight. I am so leaning towards the Jack Hermansson way, but I'm just not certain on it. Like, I know Joe can come out here, be more aggressive, walk Jack down, and maybe land that Ngannou punch and knock him out. He might even take him down and just exploit Jack's just maybe lack or step behind of Joe Pyfer's jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu wise, Joe Pyfer's solid as fuck. But how solid is he going to be in rounds number 3, 4, 5, where Jack has a lot of experience there? Jack's a smart guy, and I think Jack has a chance to win this fight. I am not rooting for Jack to win. I actually do want Joe Pyfer to win, but I do think that there's a good chance that Jack Hermansson can beat Joe Pyfer. Not be Joe Pyfer, but beat Joe Pyfer in the later rounds, 4, 5, and etc. It's just that to me, Joe, I need to see a little bit more from him. Like I don't want him to lose. I want him to win this fight. He's an entertaining guy. He hits hard, but I'm just seeing a couple things out there that I just don't like. Like he gets a little wild sometimes with that overhand right. Like he doesn't land it. He might get a little too excited right now. He's getting his first UFC main event, and he's fighting a guy who I'm positive have seen fought a lot of dudes that he's looked up to, or he's watched on TV before. Not to say he's going to get starstruck. I just worry that Joe Pyfer, a guy who lost to Dustin Soltzvis, also that Jack Hermansson said, a guy who was mentally broken and put into a depression by Dustin Soltzvis ain't got a chance to beat me. So I'm going to go with Jack Hermansson by submission in the 4th round. That Joker team is going to make a comeback. Joe Pyfer is going to be huffing and puffing because he's like, oh shit, this guy keeps tapping me to the stomach a lot. Early in the 1st round, I'm like, I ain't gonna do shit. Come the 3rd round, it's like, oh, please don't tap me into the stomach. And then when he gets him in that Joker team, it's gonna be tapping for dear life. But yeah, I'm not confident in this fight just because I think body bags might have a little bit of fraud in him doesn't mean he is. Like I thought Jung Young Lee, Korean Tiger, was a little bit of fraud, and he completely destroyed Blake Builder. So I could be wrong here. But then again, I did predict that Roman Dolidze was a fraud. So we might have 2 fraud exposures in 2 weeks in middleweight. But I'll go with Jack Hermansson. I do think he still has enough in the tank. I think he is fucking asshole when it comes to like running around the cage, teeping and kicking and just staying on the outside. His last fight, though, very meme finish where he just got caught. I mean, Roman's got crazy leg locks. I would like to see Roman versus Joe Pyfer, though. That'd be fucking awesome. That'd be a really entertaining fight because I know neither guy is going to back down, and their jiu-jitsu is going to be kind of comparable. Here, though, I got to go with Jack. I'll probably take a shot on him. I hope I'm wrong, though. If I do end up betting Jack Hermansson, if he loses, I absolutely deserve it. But yeah, again, I like Joe, but I'm going to go with Jack Hermansson here. Like, share, comment, whatever. Johnny TigerBomb. I'm getting the fuck out of here. This has been an interesting card.